All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be breaking down all the top plays here for this, pretty fun slate, I would say, on Tuesday that we are getting. Let's go ahead and get into it. So let's start out here with the guard position. I do think we are getting plenty of good enough guard plays, especially some lower price guard plays. We start off with a couple of the Bucks guard plays in Kevin Porter Jr. He's been someone that has been consistently going off, guys, basically every single game going for 40 plus points. He gets a matchup with Miami that is not a difficult matchup, and I would expect him to continue to play well. The issue with the Bucks is you also have Ryan Rollins there, who I would argue is too cheap as well for how well he has been playing this whole season, but also lately as well. Now, he is a little bit more of a roller coaster ride in the sense that he can have a very big pop-off game in the sense of 53 points, but his floor is also a little bit lower compared to Kevin Porter Jr. So it's kind of a weird balancing act. In a way, Rollins, I feel like, has a higher floor, but his ceiling is also a tiny bit higher than Kevin Porter Jr., where in a weird way, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is slightly safer, but he's shown less of a ceiling recently. Although, I mean, it's a toss-up, guys. I think they're both phenomenal. I think they're both solid plays on tonight's slate, especially at their price tags. If you want to set a rule where you're getting to one of those two in all your builds or 50% of your builds, I think that ends up being a very solid route to go. Now, the issue that we would have with that potentially is the fact that the Chicago Bulls are also going to be pretty darn thin here tonight, guys. So the Bulls are going to be going against Charlotte as well. Maybe we think about revenge game for Colin Sexton. Maybe gets a little bit more run with Jaden Ivey and Anthony Simons being out. That could be a fun option. And then speaking on that manner as well, maybe Nick Richards, who is going to be due to get a decent amount of run here with Jalen Smith being out. He's someone that I think is a pretty fun value option on tonight's slate, so we could be looking at him as well. But guard-wise, Josh Giddey is someone that could end up having to get more run, and he's someone that if he gets 30-plus minutes here tonight, that would end up being a very good price tag for him. Andrew Nembhard is also someone for the Indiana Pacers that I think ends up being in a decent spot tonight. He is also someone that is definitely more of a roller coaster here. We see 44, 9.8, 46, 20. I mean, it is dependent on the game and the game staying close. He's also questionable. Now, he's questionable, and so is TJ McConnell. If both of those plays end up sitting, I think I'm just going to be looking at Jarvis Walker as kind of the player I want to get to. If they also both end up sitting, guys, I am looking at Cam Jones even more so tonight. He becomes a much better play there for the Pacers. Now, Cam Jones is also currently questionable. I am expecting Cam Jones to play, so we are waiting on a bunch of news there. Just be prepared for that. If one of those three sit, that makes the other two better. If two of them sit, that makes the other player, the one player that's active, much better. So Cam Jones, if both those two players are out, he becomes really the best, I would say, value point guard play on the slate in general. Now, some other players that I think we could be looking at a little bit. Pat Spencer's fine for the Golden State Warriors. Cam Thomas, we know that he's been someone that's a little bit point dependent, a little bit shot dependent, but I don't mind the idea of getting to him. Jordan Poole, he's been someone that's been getting more minutes recently, so I don't hate the idea of chasing his production. At the same time, Jeremiah Fears, also someone you could be looking at. Rob Dillingham is someone that should be in for a little bit more minutes and run here for the Bulls. I mentioned it on the last, it was on the Occupy Fantasy live stream. If you guys don't know, I go live on their channel throughout the weekend to cover NBA DFS as well. I mentioned on there that it was a weird slate in the sense that I thought Rob Dillingham would be a sneaky good value, but we were getting a slate where it just wasn't needed. That's kind of the same case that we have here today with Dillingham. With those two guards out for the Bulls, he becomes a more viable play. I just don't know if we necessarily need to go this low, but if he's going to be someone that gives us 20-plus minutes, I think there's a great chance that he at least gives us 6x. So I like the idea of getting to Rob Dillingham as well. So we are getting plenty of decent enough guard plays, but let's go ahead and jump on into the shooting guard. So shooting guard-wise, I probably will be trying to get to a little bit cheaper of plays like Keyshawn George for Washington. He's very much minutes dependent, but if he's someone that's forced into getting more minutes, he could be appealing. I just don't think he's going to get that. I think that ends up being a little bit too risky, and so we're probably jumping down a little bit lower. Melton is someone for the Warriors, does have a ceiling that I don't mind chasing. We see 2 out of the last 3 games, 30-plus DFS points, and at that price, that becomes pretty appealing to me. Jeremiah Fears has been someone that's been playing better recently as well. Pretty safe floor, I would say, as well. 25 minutes in the last game, a game that ended up being a blowout. I don't mind the idea of attacking that matchup there against the Golden State Warriors, so I'm fine with that. Then, yeah, again, Colin Sexton could end up being a fun play, more of a play that you would get to if you're trying to chase a little bit of a revenge game narrative, obviously being traded away Then we have Williams here for the Washington Wizards, another player that he's been pretty productive lately, getting a decent amount of run, has been forced to get a lot more run recently. And then one last play here, guys, that's I'd like to get to for the Pacers, Ben Shepherd. Ben Shepherd's been forced to get more minutes recently, 27, 20, and 27. He's been fine there. I think he's a very safe 5x, potentially 6x option for you on the slate. So let's go ahead and try to put some plays in here, guys, at the guard position. I think I'll just end up going with Kevin Porter Jr. there at the shooting guard spot. I'm fine paying up for him there. And then point guard wise, it is a little bit up in the air to me. I don't know if we necessarily have a must play. I just think we're getting plenty of very solid options as a whole. Oh, wow. Just seeing this, actually, DeJounte Murray cleared to play tonight. So that's interesting. I'll be interested to see how many minutes he ends up getting. DeJounte Murray, fun stuff there for him. I'm actually going to go value here. We're going to get to Rob Dillingham there, and then we jump on into the small forward. So small forward for me, guys, I do really just like the idea of getting to Jarice Walker. I don't understand the price tag for him. He's been someone that has consistently went off, and per 36 buys, he's someone that should be going off per 36 buys. This is not an outlier. This is what you would expect with Aaron Naismith, with Pascal Siakam being out, and I just think we continue to hammer him at this price tag. I really don't understand why the price tag hasn't improved yet. Then we also take a peek at some of the other plays that we are getting here, guys. I don't necessarily love anyone else. I see a lot of the plays as more of the typical shoulder shrug plays that we'd begin to. So let's move on into the power forwards. Power forwards, if we can afford to pay up for Jalen Johnson, I want to be doing that. Typically speaking, he's going for 50 plus DFS points. Gets a phenomenal matchup here against Washington. So that's just a matchup that we want to be chasing, guys. Ends up being a phenomenal spot there for him. Other power forwards that we can get to on tonight's slate, we could be looking at some of the Bulls bigs again with them being thin tonight. I think they all end up being in some pretty good spots. Santos for the Warriors has been someone that's been playing a lot more minutes recently after the All-Star break, and if he's going to continue to get that many minutes, I'm perfectly happy to get to him. And so that's kind of a cheaper play that you can get to power forward wise that would open up a decent amount here on the slate. Gorsan is someone that again going to be forced into some minutes, got 30 minutes in the last game, was able to get to 30 plus DFS points, so I really like him as a click tonight. And then we also have one other big that to me at their price tag is just too cheap. Chris Middleton, guys. Chris Middleton has been someone that's gotten 30 plus minutes in each of the last two games, the 2 games after the All-Star break. And if he's going to be getting that many minutes, he's clearly too cheap. He's going to be a 6x option for us. And that would be the play. That's kind of the bet on him, is for him to get that many minutes. And so I really like doing that. Let me look at the center plays here, guys. So center-wise, I kind of like going this route where we're going to play someone that's a power forward / center. Derek Queen, you could mess around a little bit with. Vukovic for the Washington Wizards. It's also decently in play for me tonight. Again, another player that probably 6x. Don't mind the idea of that play, but also might end up being a little bit thin. Anthony Gill for Washington is also someone I think we could potentially be looking at. Derek Barlow for Philly, if Joel Embiid's out, is perfectly fine. And then again, Nick Richards I do decently like here, guys. In the revenge game, it ends up being a fun spot for him. And then Worth Bona has been someone that has consistently been playing well. Given the limited minutes that he's been getting, safe 5x option if Joel Embiid ends up sitting. And it ends up being a pretty good matchup for him against Indy, so it could end up being a spot where they choose to give him a little bit more run here as well. And then, guys, to close out this first look build, there was one guard that I forgot about, and that's Isaiah Joe here. And thankfully, this works out. So he's priced at $5K. We have 5.4 left over, and I like him. So the Thunder are going to be without AJ Mitchell, Jalen Williams, and SGA. And we saw in the last game where that happened, Isaiah Joe had 30 minutes. He's someone, again, does feel like a pretty solid, at least 5.5x option tonight. Maybe goes off for another very good game. And he didn't even shoot the basketball insanely well. I mean, he had a good day shooting, so don't mind the idea of chasing that. So that's going to be my first look build. Let's compare that against what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us are some of the top builds. And so the top build that the lineup builder sees right now, TJ McConnell, which I'm fine with. And then Kevin Porter, Walker, Middleton, Richards, Pods, which is interesting. Bay, I'm fine with. And then Embiid. If Embiid plays, he's fine. What I find interesting is after that, we are starting to get a little bit more unique. It's actually into some DeJounte Murray. Interesting there. I don't know if we want to do that. I think that ends up being too risky. I think there's other guard plays that we could be favoring. It is definitely going more unique at the center position, which I find interesting. I think I'd rather get to Nick Richards, Vukovic there. So definitely spreading out the wealth there center-wise. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you being here. Sorry for the late upload today. Just is what is kind of happened with today's schedule. Appreciate you guys, though. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel as well. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.